Welcome to Correlational Design. Click the next button to begin. Click on each menu item to find out more. Please review in order. The goal of correlational research is to describe the relationship between variables and to measure the strength of that relationship. Our book describes correlational design as being able to predict and explain relationships between variables. This type of research also helps to measure the degree of association or relationship between two or more variables. This type of research also looks for tendencies or patterns. You should use this type of design when you want to examine the relationship between two or more variables. You can also use it if you want to predict an outcome. If you have a good understanding of and know how to calculate the correlation statistical test, it would be wise to use this type of design. Explanatory design focuses on two or more variables to collect data. One thing to note is that data is collected at one point in time. The researcher will analyze all participants as a single group and will obtain at least 2 scores for each individual in the group, 1 score for each variable. For prediction design, the authors of the study will usually put the word prediction in the title. The researchers will typically measure the predictor variable at one time and the criterion variable later on. The researcher usually predicts some outcome. The key characteristics to a correlational design are as follows. First, display the scores. If you have 2 scores, you can plot them visually to display them. Examples of this include scatter plots or a correlation matrix. Second, we need to know the association between the scores. This is understanding that association of the variables. Things that contribute to this are positive and negative correlation and linear and nonlinear relationships. Last, we need to analyze the variables. Since we predicted outcomes, we need to account for the impact of each variable. Things that help with this are partial correlations and multiple regressions. Click on the hyperlinks to find out additional information. There are a few ethical issues associated with correlational designs. The first is not to have measured controls appropriately. For example, not measuring age, gender, or race. The second ethical issue is editing or making up data to sway the results. The third issue is plagiarism. And finally, the fourth issue is failing to properly pull the data and analyze the findings. There are 6 main steps in conducting a correlational design study. The first is determining if this is actually the correct method for the research problem. The second step is identifying individuals to examine. The third is identifying 2 or more measures for each person in the study. This is the part where we find the variables. The fourth step in conducting a correlational design is collecting the data and closely monitoring potential threats. The fifth step is analyzing the data and properly representing the results. The final step is interpreting the results. Here are additional resources for correlational designs. There is also an example of this type of study in the blue box at the bottom. Once finished, click on the End button. Thank you.